Welcome to a comprehensive Day 1 Araxxor guide. I'm going to take you through everything you need to know to grind this boss out, so check the chapters in the description if you need something in particular, and remember, this is only Day 1 following release, so some gear preferences and strategies may change. Araxxor is located in Mauritania, specifically within the Araxxite hive. Let's take a look at the multiple options for getting there quickly. The fastest method is, of course, to use the spider cave teleport that the boss drops, but let's assume that you either haven't got one yet or you don't want to buy it. The next fastest method involves using hallowed crystal shards, which are an untradeable, one-time consumable teleport which takes you straight to the hallowed sepulcher. This is particularly convenient for banking, as there is a bank chest right next to the teleport, and from the sepulcher you can use the shortcut on the East Darkmere wall to quickly get over and head up to the hive. While this method is pretty fast, it does require you to have the Sins of the Father quest completed, as well as 52 agility to stock up on some hallowed marks to spend on the crystals. Alternative methods of getting there reasonably quick are to either use the Ecto file after completion of the Ghosts Ahoy quest and simply running down from Port Phasmatis, or use the fairy ring code ALQ and run down from the Haunted Woods. You can use the Draken's Medallion to teleport to either the Theatre of Blood or Sleep and run from there, but these methods take much longer. You can only fight Araxxor on a Slayer task, but you can kill the Araxites in the cave without one. These guys drop the Arania boots and the Araxxite venom sac. Back to Araxxor though, this is a melee oriented fight. So in the main, you'll want your hardest hitting melee gear. Bring the best gear you've got, but if you can afford an Inquisitor's set, then this is incredible for the added crush bonus it gives. And that's because Araxxor is weak to crush. And while we're on the topic of Araxxor's weaknesses, slash weapons aren't a bad alternative here if you are lacking good crush weapons. Araxxor also has a particularly low defense level, so there's no need to bring defense lowering special attack weapons. Now, in addition to your base melee gear and your best crush weapon, you'll want a good special attacking weapon. The Saradomin Godsword is a great example for extending trips here, but you can also use the blowpipe. Alternatively, for speeding up kills, you should look towards special attack weapons like the Burning Claws, Dragon Claws, and other damaged focus special attacks paired with a Light Bearer. Lastly, it's worth bringing along at least a 3-way range switch with a heavy hitting range weapon like the Heavy Ballista, as well as a ranging or divine ranging potion for the minion spawns, and I'll get onto those in just a minute. Here is a rough idea of a decent inventory setup. Obviously, you may want to tweak the amount of prayer potions and food you bring based on your stats and gear. And for runes, I've experimented with both Vengeance and Thralls, and I found that Thralls are just overall more consistent DPS. But again, that's up to you and what strategy you want to go for as we move into the fight mechanics. Araxxor attacks with two styles: magic when you're out of melee range and melee when you're close enough. Praying the correct style will negate most of the damage you take, but you will still take some chip damage regardless. The most important aspect of this fight is understanding the eggs around the room and how they impact the fight. There are 12 eggs in total, clustered in 3s within each corner of the room. The eggs will always hatch in a clockwise order from the direction you enter the dungeon. The white egg spawns a mirror back Araxxite, which absorbs any damage you deal to Araxxor and reflects it back to you. It also attacks with melee. The green egg spawns an acidic Araxxite, which attacks with ranged and when killed explodes and leaves venom trails on the floor. The red egg spawns Ruptura Araxites, which will explode shortly after reaching a close proximity to you, dealing big damage to anything nearby. This explosion will not only damage Araxxor, but can also damage any eggs around the room. Upon starting the fight with Araxxor, an egg will hatch roughly 3 attacks later. If the first egg is either a white egg or a green egg, you can simply switch to your range gear and with the appropriate ranged offensive prayer switched on, kill the spider without leaving Araxxor's melee range. This is important for not taking any unnecessary damage and is another reason why the Heavy Ballista is so useful here, as it will one-shot the spiders if done correctly. To manage the red spiders, let them get close enough before running around the perimeter of Araxxor's range so that when it explodes, it doesn't deal damage to you, but does deal a massive 80 damage to Arraxxor. The eggs also impact another element of the fight, and that is Araxor's special attack. Arraxxor uses this special attack roughly 3 attacks after an egg hatches, and the special attack that Arraxxor will use will be based on which egg is the first one to hatch in the fight. If the first egg to hatch is white, then Arraxxor will shoot a cluster of venom which leaves trails on the floor. If the first egg is red, then Arraxxor will shoot a ball of venom at you which drips for 6 ticks. This is similar to the Ohm poison attack in the Chambers of Xeric, so just switch your runoff and walk for 6 tiles if you want to be safe. And if the first egg in the room is green, then Arraxxor will briefly pause before firing a venom bomb. This deals large damage in a straight line and is pretty projected and easy to move out of the way of. Regardless of what eggs hatch after the first egg in the room, Arraxxor will always use the same special attack for the remainder of that fight until you defeat her and start the next one, at which point you should pay attention to what egg is first in order. The last fight mechanic to be aware of is Araxxor's enraged phase. This occurs when Arraxxor drops below 25% HP, at which point Arraxxor will telegraph a big attack which deals damage on the tile you were standing on and each tile either side. To manage this, simply wait until Arraxxor winds up to attack, then run 2 tiles to the left or right before repeating in a sort of square around Araxxor's range. If there are a lot of venom tiles to get around, you can simply take 1 step backwards and wait for Arraxxor to move up towards you before running around her again. Okay, now we've been through all of the unique fight mechanics, here's a quick rundown of the fight in real time so you can get an idea for it yourself. When Arraxxor is dead, you'll see 2 options: harvest the body or destroy it. Harvesting the body gives you access to regular loot and the pet, while destroying the body gives you no loot but double the pet chance. Upon choosing an action, Arraxxor will respawn shortly and the fight will start over again, so if you're really not ready to start another fight with Arraxxor, use the time before harvesting her body to pot up, eat your food, get ready for another fight. I'm not going to be covering the drops in detail as I did that in my last video, link to that in the description if you want to check it out. Now Jagex weren't too happy with me just handing out 10% RNG boosts left, right and center from the last Arraxxor video, so I'm only able to give you guys a 5% RNG boost today. If you like the video, and consider subscribing if you haven't already guys, I'd massively appreciate you, but as always, thank you for supporting and watching this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.